Let's talk about 19-year-old convicted dead pedophile Karl B. Westgate, who at the age of only 19 was convicted of brutally raping, molesting, and grooming an 11-year-old little girl. I remember like it was yesterday, getting transferred to ACI in confinement, where he would enter in May of 2015. The whole compound wanted to get their hands on him. I even remember an officer saying, "That boy needs to be put out of his misery. If you think it's bad now, wait until he's in his 40s or 50s," as he was only sentenced to 25 years with gain time for the brutal rape of an 11-year-old girl. If that's what's on your mind at the age of 19, you can only imagine what was to come. Remember him walking like a scared little puppy in tall grass, begging for protective custody. You see, in Florida, just because you're a rapist or a pedophile, you hurt a child or a woman, you don't get protected. You get put right there in the open, in the GP. And I remember him hitting that compound, and there was zero mercy. Beatings, extortion. I mean, they had his dad paying so much money for protection that he tapped out. Rumor on the compound was that when his dad started getting light with the money, they would send him videos, live videos, FaceTime videos of his son tied up, being brutally battered. And I remember like it was yesterday. He came in of May of 2015. I saw through the confinement window. Everybody's talking. Everybody's hitting the windows. And he was taken out with a sheet over his head in a bent over wheelchair in June of 2015, just 48 days into his sentence of raping and grooming an 11-year-old girl. Allegedly, they say his murder was carried out like an execution. People were watching it on the phone. That was a rumor on the compound. I don't know, but let's get into it. Karl Westgate, a Palm Coast resident, he would die just 7 weeks after sentence for child rape. They call it prison justice. Daniel Westgate, his father, would say he was a dead man the minute they sentenced him. You see, in 2015, the Chomo Westgate, then 19 years old, initiated contact with an 11-year-old little girl via Facebook. Their daily online chats lasting hours, discussing alcohol, cannabis use, and sexual acts. The coward pedophile would send nudes of himself, coerce the child into sending nudes, then visited her home, where he would rape her. Even when she protested, he wouldn't stop. But you see how the universe works. When he was begging all these inmates to stop, they didn't stop. When he was begging the officers for protection, he didn't get any protection. His official charges were sexual battery of a victim under 12, lewd and lascivious molestation. Westgate would plead guilty in April and May of 2015, waiving a potential life sentence on capital rape charges in exchange for reduced charges, 2 counts of lewd, lascivious molestation, victim under 12. He received a 25-year state prison sentence. The sentencing occurred before Circuit Court Judge J. Walsh. When the judge was reading the sentence, Westgate leaned over and even requested a furlough, which he was promptly denied. And just in case y'all don't know, a furlough is, "Hey judge, can I go home, get my affair in order before I go do 25 years? Imagine the audacity on this little fucker. Regardless, why is there an 11-year-old girl talking to a 19-year-old boy going unchecked? On both families. That's why when the rumor on the compound about his dad being extorted, people going to his home, watching his son getting terrorized in prison, and ultimately the rumor was they handed out a death sentence live on a camera phone. If it's true or not, I'll never know. That's basically the rumor on the compound. However, where are the parents? I mean, look at this piece of shit. And we're talking about at the age of 19 and the age of 11, this poor little girl on Facebook engaging for hours about alcohol, cannabis, sexual activity. Where is his dad? Where's her parents? They should be in jail right along with him. Well, you know what he is. His dad expressed bitterness. They call it prison justice. He was a dead man the minute they sentenced him. Westgate reportedly submitted letters to his father explaining he was receiving death threats in prison and explicitly asked for protective custody, which he was denied. He wrote to the judge after sentencing, claiming his plea was coerced and asking to reopen his case. Neither the court nor his public defender, Reginald Nunnally, responded to the letter before his death. He was sentenced to ACI East Unit, one of the most infamous yards in Florida. And when I tell you guys, from being in confinement there, they were landing the life flight helicopter, murders every day, stabbings, rapes, officer down, brutality at its finest, wickedness. This wasn't just a prison, it was a battlefield where power was currency and weakness meant death. Karl came in branded as sex offender, a chomo. To the prison gangs, he wasn't just prey, he was a paycheck, a mule, a warning to others. He was repeatedly beaten, used, passed around. He wrote letters. He begged for protective custody. His own words, according to the reports and survivors' whispers, said, "They're gonna kill me," but those letters just made it worse. An officer fed up with the attention Karl was bringing to the dorm reportedly said, "If this rapist, pedophile piece of shit writes one more letter and gets this dorm hot, I'm flipping the whole thing. Make it stop." We know what that meant. That's the green light. That means there is no consequences for hurting one of these chomos at all. Rightfully so. Just like that girl begged and pleaded and was manipulated, used and abused, physically, psychologically tortured, so was he. Except it seems like every time these tough guys that are rough and tough with children and women, when they get around men, the predators become the prey. The victimizers become the victims. Allegedly, it went down like this. There was no cameras that seen it, just rumors. July 16th, 2015. There was a movement on the yard. They say, canteen, yard, barbershop. You pick one of the three. He tried to lock in his cell. He knew what time it was, sensing the danger, but the doors popped anyway. What happened next? He was snatched, dragged into another cell, strangled with a sheet or a shirt, blacked out. Then allegedly came the slices, razors melted into pens and toothbrushes. Then the beatings with the lock and the sock. They took turns, almost ritualistically, as if someone was watching through a phone or a peephole. This was no random act. This was a prison execution. They did him like he was on death row, for real, like someone ordered that. They left him alone, said an anonymous ACI inmate. When officers finally found his body, they wrapped it up quickly. The official statement, he died while incarcerated. His family got no answers, just a vague message. He passed away in custody. No mention of beating, no mention of razors, no mention of broken bones or blood-soaked cell walls. No closure, just a dead body. There was no autopsy report, no full Inspector General disclosure, no Florida Department of Law Enforcement homicide charges. His father, confused by the state's wording, initially thought it was suicide until he started hearing rumors, letters, calls, inmates talking, and they all said the same thing. Your son didn't kill himself. They killed him. Nah, that's not the truth. His dad can get as mad as he wants, say everything he wants, hates his video, whatever it may be. But the day he did this was the day he killed himself. Don't hurt children. Whether you're 19, whether you're 80, leave our kids alone. Stay out, stay free. Us.